Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
It's good to have you on board. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Mitch Moss along with Pauly Howard. In this hour, Matt Youmans on the program coming up in 30 minutes. We'll hit today's Major League Baseball card, including yes-no playoff odds in 15. And Paul Stone joins the program now to kick off the hour. Professional sports bettor talking college football, and he is on the Progressive guest line. Good afternoon, Paul. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Hey, doing well. Glad to be with you guys and getting ready to start week 3 on Thursday night with Arizona State going to San Marcos to play Texas State.
It's a very good Thursday night game. You have an opinion on it, which we'll get to coming up in a few moments. Let's begin here. Bama, very tight against South Florida last week until the fourth quarter when they exploded for 4 touchdowns and nearly covered, by the way, that number, which would have been silly. The look-ahead number a couple of weeks back for Bama at Wisconsin was around 9 that I saw. Now they're laying at least a touchdown more than that in Madison against the Badgers, who haven't been exactly great so far. What do you make of the number on these two teams at this point?
Yeah, Mitch, first of all, I want to acknowledge that Wisconsin, as you kind of alluded to, they haven't exactly moved the needle in their first 2 games of the season. Very modest 2 touchdown victories over Western Michigan and FCS South Dakota. The Badgers offense clearly still searching for an identity. Their new quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, he's only passed for a total of 406 yards in those 2 games, only averaging 6.4 yards per attempt. And their top running back, Chez Meluzzi, averaging less than 4 yards per carry in the first 2 games against those opponents. So you look at Alabama, their first-year head coach, Kalen DeBoer, and you look at this game, and the Crimson Tide would just appear to have the Badgers totally overmatched in terms of personnel. But guys, as you know, this is college football, and sometimes that talent edge can be negated or neutralized through that home field advantage. Especially when you're talking about 2 touchdowns and change like we're getting here with Wisconsin. Camp Randall going to be rocking on Saturday. Alabama playing its first true road game of the year, so funny things can happen on the road. Plus, Chez Meluzzi, although he's averaging less than 4 yards per carry, this guy's been a home run hitter throughout his collegiate career, a guy who's capable of going the distance on any given play, a lot of 50, 60, 70-yard runs during his career for Meluzzi. Plus, this is only the 4th time Wisconsin has been a home underdog since way back in 2009. In those previous 3, they got covers each time, including last year as a 14.5-point home underdog to Ohio State, losing by a 24-10 margin. Give me Wisconsin plus the generous points over Alabama.
Okay, jump around, baby. How about this? We only have 2 games where ranked teams play one another. One of them now, BC, the great story off the big upset win against Florida State. How about BC catching all these points against Missouri?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people, Pauly, I was really impressed with Boston College's 28-13 season opening victory over Florida State on Labor Day. The Eagles, there was nothing flukish about it at all. They were dominant on both lines of scrimmage. They rushed for 263 yards, averaged 5.1 yards per carry, and limited the Seminoles to just 21 yards per carry, or 21 yards total rushing, rather, 1.3 yards per carry. The longest run by a Seminole running back against BC, only 8 yards. So is Boston College that good? Florida State that bad? Or a combination of the two? It's probably, of course, the latter. But looking at Missouri, this is a good football team, no question about it. Finished the AP poll last year at the conclusion of the bowls at number 8. But I don't think this year's version of the Tigers is quite as good as last year's. And that's primarily because they lost 5 players from defense selected in the NFL draft this past April. 3 of those players were selected in the first 3 rounds. So they lose guys at all 3 levels. Defensive end Darius Robinson, a first-round selection, cornerback Ennis Rakestraw, a second-round selection, and linebacker Tyron Hopper, a third-round selection. So that's a lot of talent on that defensive side of the ball off to the NFL. Plus, their first 2 games, although lopsided shutout victories, they couldn't have really done more. They were over Buffalo and Murray State. Mm-hmm. Buffalo is one of the 10 or 15 worst FBS teams in the entire FBS structure. Murray State only 2-9. last year at the FCS level. I love the Racers, but they're not very good. So, again, we don't know anything about this Missouri team, really. We know a little bit, but not everything. Boston College has shown us what they can be at their best. I like Boston College and their quarterback, Thomas Castellanos. An interesting stat about Castellanos. Last year, he passed for over 2,000, rushed for over 1,000, one of only 3 collegiate quarterbacks to attain that statistical daily double last season.
I like him, and I like his props over, too, being the dual threat. Dirty Pool, by the way, Missouri wouldn't take the knee with that late touchdown to cover against Buffalo as well. How about Sunbelt Billy catching points at home against A&M?
Billy Napier's on the ropes. There's no question about it. The whispers are growing louder in Gainesville concerning his future. Some are suggesting he might not make it till the end of the season, and others are even suggesting if he loses Saturday, he might not make it till Sunday. So he's clearly, and that's what I'm hearing there. But as bad as the Gators were in that opening loss to Miami, they lost at home 42-17. They're still 1-1 on the season. They've got 10 games remaining in the regular season. Plus now, they've got some enthusiasm swirling around the program after 5-star quarterback DJ Lagway made his collegiate debut last week against FCS Samford. That coming in relief of Graham Mertz, the starter who set out due to being in concussion protocol. And although Lagway certainly benefited from being against an overmatched opponent in Samford, 18 of 25 passing for 456 yards, 3 touchdowns. The guy can throw the ball downfield. He had 6 completions of 30 yards or more. Napier earlier this week said Mertz and Lagway will both play against Texas A&M. He stressed that Mertz is still his starter, but I got to think you'll see a heavier dose of Lagway against the Aggies. Napier has to know that he's on the ropes. He's literally competing for his coaching life. To use a poker term, he's got to go all in on Saturday against the Aggies. And looking at the Aggies under Mike Elko, their first-year coach, I think this is a program that's clearly a work in progress. Notre Dame, they lost to them at home at Cal Field. The Aggies did in their opener. Notre Dame's got a talented defense, but Texas A&M quarterback Connor Wigman on throws of 5 or more yards, only 5 of 16 against the Irish, 2 interceptions, only 61 yards. This according to ESPN stats and information. So they have no downfield passing game, don't have a stud running back. They just don't have much juice offensively, do the Aggies. The Aggies have also failed to cover in their last 4 tries as a road favorite, dating back to late in the 2021 season. I like Florida State plus 4.5. I think the Gators get the outright victory Saturday over the Aggies at the Swamp.
Very strong. Follow the money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Paul Stone, our guest, professional sports bettor. His podcast is called the Paul Stone Sports Podcast. I think we have 2 really good games on Friday night and an extremely intriguing game on Thursday night as ASU plays at Texas State. ASU, impressive so far, that week 1 thumping against Wyoming, to come back last week and beat Mississippi State, SEC team, taking on a Texas State team that has some playoff aspirations. I know people are really high on this team this year. They just beat Texas San Antonio 49-10. They're catching a couple of points at home Thursday night. Who do you like?
Yeah, first of all, this is a big deal for Texas State University to be hosting a Power 4 opponent on ESPN. This is just the 4th time in school history they've been on ESPN's main channel. So this is far from commonplace there in San Marcos, Texas. Arizona State, first of all, picked to finish near the bottom of the Big 12 this season. But, man, the Sun Devils have been impressive to open the season. You mentioned the back-to-back victories. Soundly defeated Wyoming 48-7 in their opener. Then last week they beat Mississippi State 30-23, but they were leading that game 30-3 in the third quarter, so that final's a little misleading. The Sun Devils just pounded the Bulldogs running the football, 346 yards rushing against Mississippi State. Cam Skatebo, 262 of those yards on 33 carries. So I like the Sun Devils, but Texas State's the side that I'm looking at here. The Bobcats, as you mentioned, they're coming off a convincing 49-10 victory over Texas San Antonio. And this being a Texas San Antonio team that was one of the co-favorites before the season to win the American Athletic Conference. Last week against UTSA, the Bobcats passed for over 300 yards, rushed for over 200, 7.4 yards per play. Their new quarterback this year, former James Madison quarterback Jordan McLeod, who was a first-team All Sun Belt selection last year at JMU. So they've got a capable quarterback. Texas State firmly in the conversation for the Group of 5 bid in the 12-team playoff. But they got to go 13-0 to do it. They got to win all 12 regular season games, win the Sun Belt championship game. The road to 13-0 continues Thursday in San Marcos. Texas State +2 over Arizona State.
All right, very good. Last thing, but a minute left here. Question for you on X from Dell. He's asking if you think Memphis can win outright at Florida State this weekend.
You know, I absolutely do. I mean, you've got to wonder about the overall team psyche of this Florida State team. And I mean, really dating back to last year after the injury to their standout quarterback, Jordan Travis, not much has gone, the right way for the Seminoles. They won those last 2 games. Then they get left out of the 14 playoff, and it's just been a downhill turn since then. This game just means more to Memphis. I mean, they've got a talented quarterback, Seth Hennigan, who I think is superior to Florida State's quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei. Memphis State, I mean, this is a game that if they win, you're talking about a team firmly in the conversation for the Group of 5 bid. This is a huge feather in their cap. They're fully invested. They're paying attention to detail this week. Florida State's 0-2. Their season's basically over. I think Memphis got a great chance at upsetting the Seminoles in Tallahassee at Doak Campbell.
Thanks, Paul. Hope you crush it this week.
Absolutely. Good luck to everybody and have a great week of college football. Be safe.
Back at you. Paul Stone on the Progressive Guest Line. Baseball next. They're 8-1 to miss the playoffs. Are we sure they're going to make it?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, baseball here. Yes, no playoff odds. Now, I bet this team a while back at 20-1 to win the pennant. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. I'm talking about the San Diego Padres. Here is what they're up against. They're minus 1,400 to make, plus $8 to miss. They have the Dodgers 3 times, Diamondbacks 3 times, Astros 3 times, and they continue with the Mariners. Darvish versus Kirby today. It's King versus Wu tomorrow. Perez at Logan Webb on Friday. His numbers at home. Cease, who's been not good for more than a month, at the Giants on Saturday. Musgrove Birdsong on Sunday. And then they have 3. They get Arrighetti, Hunter Brown, and Framber Valdez after that, before Cease is scheduled to go against Chris Flexen next Friday. This is a terrible stretch where this team could lose a ton of games. I'm deathly afraid of my ticket on them to win the pennant. I took a little on 8-1 to maybe hedge it here on this team to miss the playoffs.
Well, we mentioned earlier, Arizona, San Diego, the Mets, and Atlanta. Someone's not going to make it. I took 475 on the Diamondbacks. Texas, 7 against the Brewers, Padres, and Giants. And depends on who you face with the stud pitchers. You might come back and say, well, Milwaukee's going to have the division wrapped up and they're going to sit people. But still, that's no easy out, too. So with the schedule here, and now Atlanta down to minus 170 to make it. Shutout, 2 hits at home. And they play a 2-game set against Washington. They are 4-7 this year against the Nats. We know someone with a 25-1 ticket on the Braves to miss. Will Hill's got that big ticket on him, too. He said he's just going to let it go. And a big win by the Mets last night. They go Toronto, 7 against the Phillies, Washington, Atlanta. And is it Milwaukee? Yeah, I can't read my writing. Atlanta goes Dodgers, Reds, Miami, Mets, and Kansas City. This is fantastic here with 18 games left about who's just going to make the playoffs.
I'll give you one of the most random stats you're going to hear all year long from our buddy Kevin Rogers that could keep the Braves out of the playoffs. They have lost 2 makeup games this season. Each score 1-0. They could look back and say, hey, we missed the playoffs by a game, and we lost both those makeup games, couldn't score a run in either one of them.
Right. Well, how about the Red Sox? They're 3 back of the Twins. They just lost Sunday to Chris Flexen.
Yeah.
They were 2-27 in the games he pitched in the White Sox. And then how many games has the bullpen blown since the All-Star break?
Every one of them, I think.
The Red Sox have to be losing their minds. And then they crushed the Orioles last night too. So here's where I am with the American League. The Twins were 95% to make the playoffs September 1st. They're up 3 games on Seattle, Detroit, and Boston.
They have to have this game by Lopez like blood tonight. He is a monstrous favorite. Can the Twins be late? Lopez has been terrific. 2 months now, 10 starts, 6-1 overall record, a 2.27 ERA, 57 Ks to 12 walks. He's been really, really good. But should the Twins be laying this big of a number today against anybody?
No. They are 13-1 to score the most runs tonight. And highest scoring game is 12-1. If you want to play that game, that's always fun. The favorite is Boston and Baltimore, and that got there yesterday. It's 7-1. So I don't like. It's been ugly. I don't like how they're playing, and they could absolutely blow this. Now these other teams behind them, I thought it was going to be Kansas City that was probably going to get the 6th seed, but they continue to surprise and get wins, although they have a tough schedule. But sweeping the Twins was enormous. But you can't look at any game and say, well, that's okay for the Twins with how they're playing, and they still have
that's exactly right.
Cleveland, Boston, and Baltimore left on the schedule. So it's a great race in both leagues, just who's going to get in. Also, the great races we have 1 seed. Who will get the 1 seed in the National League? The Dodgers are $1.60. The Phillies are plus 110. In the American League, the Yankees are 185. Cleveland's plus 330. Baltimore's plus 425. So you have that race too.
To your point on the Diamondbacks in the National League, can we trust Zach Gallen moving forward? Because he's been unreliable here for a long stretch.
I'm okay with them at home, but it's a tough one against Evaldi. I
don't think you should be. Here's why.
Yeah.
Since July 4th, overall now, home and road, all games combined, 12 starts, 4.55 ERA, 3.54 FIP, 59 Ks to 31 walks. 31 walks, unacceptable. You got to clean that up. Mm-hmm. His 6 starts at home since July 4th, the ERA goes all the way up to 5.65 with a 4.02 FIP, a 1.81 WHIP, and a 15.7% K rate. He is not close, hasn't been in this stretch to the same guy at home that he was last year. Last year, that was one of the best betting things that you could do with him when he was at home.
Yeah, untouchable.
You could, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
If every game was at home last year for him, he would have had the best season of all time by a pitcher. But that's not the way it breaks down, obviously. This year, lately, pretty rocky for him. Mm-hmm. So, one of those... The entire narrative has been now, is it going to be the Mets? Are they going to catch the Braves? Will Atlanta miss? They both, I think, are going to make it. And I think one of us will end up being right with who's going to catch this ticket, Padres or Diamondbacks to miss. Yeah. That could happen. And that's certainly a doable schedule for Atlanta, but the issues that they have lately, no doubt. I can trust Peterson going tonight for the Mets. Very good numbers here. 9-1 with a 2.75 ERA. They've won 5 in a row on the road, and they're 8 games over 500 for the season on the road. And I don't know what you're going to get out of Bassett tonight, but that was a big win. So imagine this scenario, too, if we back up a second. Let's say the Tigers play 3 against Colorado, and then they close with the White Sox. I mean, if they win tonight and the Twins stub their toe, Detroit is 2 back. And they were 11-1 yesterday. So when you said that, you gave it out in pocket. Yeah. I looked, found 13. Well, good for you. Same spot later last night, down to 8-1. Yeah. I mean, they're falling asleep here with some of these spots. You know, I saw Cleveland as low as $3 at one spot to win the division. They should be much higher than that. Yeah. And they usually, they are. And a book fell asleep on that one too. But I mean, you got to go 6-0 here if you're Detroit. You're playing Colorado, and then you're playing the White Sox. So no gimme for the Twins, and this really could get interesting. I'll give you another one, too. Now, Yamamoto's back for the Dodgers. He takes on Shohei at home, and the Cubs clubbed him yesterday. Milwaukee's up 8.5. I know not a lot of time left, but they've lost 5 of 7 and just lost a series at home to Colorado. They better get a win tonight. San Francisco, Arizona for 7, Philly, and the Mets. Are you talking about for that division? Don't screw around here. I mean, if you lose 2 out of 3 at home to Colorado, make sure you get this thing lined up and set. And you can sit people and get some rest before the playoffs, because this could get interesting. 8.5, not crazy. Remember the Mets did it years ago when they had blew that big lead and the Phillies came back. The Cardinals, 2011? Yeah, that's right. Down by 9, I think, 9 games out to make the playoffs in September. They won the whole thing. And maybe you also come back and say, is there enough time for the Cubbies to... Maybe, I think 5 back, though. But a lot can happen here in the last 3 weeks. Okay. It's phenomenal. Let me expand here on the Mets-Blue Jays game. for a second. Peterson last start, 11 Ks against Boston. He was brilliant. 6 hits, 1 run over 6 innings. He has recorded 21 plus outs. Well, he did record 21 plus outs in the 3 starts before that. His prop today is 17.5 minus 125. He's been absolutely rock solid. In Bassett's last 11 starts, he has allowed 3+ earned runs in 9 of them. His prop today is 2.5 over plus 110 range. Here's the rub. The Mets have been far from great on the road against righties. But they're also like this winning thing is contagious in Major League Baseball. They can sense it now. Everybody, fingers crossed that Lindor can win the MVP. I think they're out of their minds. But regardless, I think the Mets can get to him and tag him for at least 3 runs in this game. 9 out of 11 starts. Okay.
All right. Paul Stone likes Arrighetti K prop over as well. He's been great. I think he gets 7 strikeouts tonight. And also the sick run that Arizona and Baltimore have been on with overruns the entire season. Arizona, 83, 55, and 6 to the over. Baltimore, 80, 56, and 9 to the over. Atlanta is 86, 53, and 5 to the under. It's crazy what's happening the entire year with these clubs. You're the type of players looking to get down $10,000 or more in the NFL at the best price in the market. Introducing Sport Trade, the app that's going to change sports betting. $4 lines instead of the typical $10. Instant in-game betting. Sport Trade, perfect for those who want a premium betting experience. Sport Trade is live in New Jersey, Colorado, Iowa, and coming to Arizona and Virginia this fall. Download Sport Trade, use code VEASAN. Earn 10% cash back on each wager in your first week. Code VEASAN. Got to be 21. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
I know this. You're not going to get rich betting teams in Major League Baseball in September as big favorites, or they have to have the game. That should never factor into any of your bets whatsoever. Long history of some team shocking the world and pulling major upsets in September when teams just don't show up.
How about, can I get a plus price on it? Oh, I can't. Okay. How about the Guardians, $1.40 on the run line? The White Sox are 33 and 112, and they've lost 13 in a row at home.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, come on.
You don't have to twist my arm too hard.
Yeah. I tell you, I love it, though. It's so refreshing. Classic, bam. 1, 2, 3. Set them up, set them down.
Oh, game's over.
Yeah.
Every time. All right, VSiN host Matt Youmans on the program coming up next. He has a bunch of games that he likes this weekend in the NFL and college football. Find out who next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. We'll get best bets here in the NFL and college football. It was a blast being on the show, both of us last night, with Matt Youmans. An hour before kickoff, the news came down about Christian McCaffrey. He was going to miss the game, and then bets that you could find leading up to that contest. I got blasted on the Jets overall in the game, but those props that came in last night more than made up for it. And Matt Youmans joins the program now. New show here following us called VSiN Primetime, and he is on the Progressive Guest Line. Matt, your reaction to the Jets last night, how they looked, and do you expect them to bounce back this Sunday on the road against the Titans?
A nice job on your prop bets last night. And how about Weston Stratman, the original Average Joe in the Circuit Friday Football Invitational, hit a 50-1 shot last night. Were you on that same prop?
No, that was the Mason to lead the game in rushing yards. I did not get down in that. I had Lazard. I did not get down on Mason, though. It was a great find by him.
That was. I mean, there's some great opportunities with that last night. The one thing that surprised me the most, and obviously Kyle Shanahan knew something that we didn't know, and that was that Jordan Mason is a stud. And he looked like a baby Marshawn Lynch out there last night, the way he just ran right through the Jets defense. He was a battering ram. And, we were on the live betting show, I guess we'll call it, last night during the game. And I kept saying, I'm surprised at the way the 49ers are just pushing around the Jets defense. And it looked like almost a men against boys scenario. And I thought the Jets defense is going to be a lot better than that last night. But if you go back to last season, they weren't that good against the run. And maybe I should not have assumed that they were going to be, better against the run last night, even with McCaffrey out. And the 49ers just pushed them all over the field, physically dominated the Jets defense. And I think that's something that's got to be a big concern with the Jets going forward. And I'm not convinced that they're going to bounce back this week against the Titans. First of all, you got the West Coast to East Coast trip. Then you're going back to Nashville. It's not an easy situational spot for the Jets, but the matchup is a negative one because if you looked at the way the Titans run the ball against the Bears, a pretty good Bears defense, and the way the Titans can run the ball in general, I think it's going to be tough for the Jets to go to Tennessee and win that game. Plus, they're laying more than 3. So, it was 4.5. I should have bet the Titans at 4.5 because I was looking at it last night, and I said that's probably got to be the play. But it's going to be Titans or pass for me because I'm not convinced the Jets are going to bounce back and win.
Okay, huge move in the Green Bay game. What do you think of with Willis now getting the start at quarterback and the Packers catching 3.5 at home to the Colts?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit on the show last night with you guys, and the look-ahead number 5, basically, and without Jordan Love now, it's 3.5 the other way. I did bet this one right away. I took 3.5 with the Packers. And by the way, for anyone out there who's got access to it, and I know you guys would agree, I really recommend getting the Caesars William Hill app because you get some off-market numbers. And a lot of times when there's 3 across the board in Vegas, you can find 3.5 on that app. And that's true for a lot of games. And it was not just true for this one last night. But anyway, the Packers, I think, are going to be live in this game with Josh Jacobs and their ability to run the ball. He went for 84 yards against the Eagles. Packers ran for 183, 7.8 per carry against that Philadelphia defense. You look at the Colts team. On the field for 76 total plays against the Texans, allowed 417 yards. Joe Mixon ran for 159 on 30 carries. And it's not like the Indianapolis offense is lighting it up. Anthony Richardson, 9 for 19. Jonathan Taylor ran for 48 yards. So this is not a Colts team with Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck rolling into Lambeau Field. I think deserves to be laying more than a field goal here. The one concern is pretty obvious, and that's that Malik Willis, when he makes the start this week, will have been with the team only 20 days. And he made 3 starts with the Titans and wasn't that good. Sean Clifford is his backup. But, obviously that's why the numbers flipped so far. And I think this is a big over-adjustment here, and the Packers can game plan their way to kind of hide some of Malik Willis's flaws. This is one I really like here, Packers plus 3.5.
Yeah, I bet him plus 3.5 yesterday as well, Matt. Matt Youmans, our guest here, progressive guest line, talking about games he likes this weekend in the NFL and college football. What do you want to do with the Seahawks? It was not easy against the Broncos in week 1, but they got the job done in terms of the win column. Now they have to travel all the way across the country and take on a Patriots team that, hey, they were good enough to win and beat Cincinnati outright. And Seahawks now favored by 3, I think, at most spots, maybe 3.5 out there at a couple of others.
Yeah, there were some more 3.5s out there last night, and some of those disappearing. And I was a little bit nervous about playing the Patriots here, but I went ahead and did it. And it is another difficult situational spot for the Seahawks. Not only that, George Fant, the right tackle, went down with a knee injury. Kenneth Walker, who had a big game against the Broncos, has got an abdominal strain. So it's not an ideal injury situation for the Seahawks. But again, I think it's conceivable the Patriots win their first 2 games and then don't win again for 2 months. If you look at their schedule, they could start 2-0 and then not win another game for a long time. But the way they play with Ramondre Stevenson, who ran for 120 yards against the Bengals, I think they can run the ball. They can, their defense can hang in there, and they can have a shot to win this game. So you're getting 3 or 3.5 with the Patriots. Why not? Because this is one they can win. If you look at their schedule, there's not another one I think they can win for a long time. But again, the Patriots sacked Joe Burrow 3 times. They held the Bengals to 224 yards. I think they got a shot in this game.
Okay, how about some college football? Colorado State, Colorado blown out again. Couldn't protect Sanders, and then he throws the offensive line under the bus after the game. That's not going to play well in the locker room. So what do you think of Colorado State catching 7.5 in the rivalry game?
Yeah, you're right. I think this Colorado team's going to come apart at the seams at some point, and hopefully it's really soon because you got to imagine the team chemistry is not too good here. And you've got the coach and the quarterback, the stars on the team who throw everybody else under the bus and point fingers at others. And it's not going to be a cohesive Colorado team. I go back to last year. Colorado State led this matchup 28-17 with 8 minutes left. Jay Norvell, the coach, completely blew it. They ended up losing the game 43-35. Rams outgained the Buffaloes 499 to 418 in that game. Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, the quarterback who threw for 367 and 3 touchdowns, he's back. So is Torrey Horton, who had 16 catches and 133 yards in that game. This Colorado State offense should be much better than it looked in that game against Texas, and they did bounce back and put 38 points up against Northern Colorado last week, so got a little bit of confidence probably from that. But Shiloh Sanders, safety for Colorado's out with an arm injury. If you looked at Colorado last week against Nebraska, first 4 possessions, no first downs, and -2 yards in the first quarter. This offense has got problems because Colorado can't run the ball. The offensive line's not very good. And when it gets down to Dion, I think he's looking more and more like a charlatan and a hype man instead of a head coach. I like this is ugly home dog week for me. I'm taking Colorado State plus 7.5.
All right. Well, then you kind of tipped your cap there because I'm guessing you're going to do the same thing here with Purdue.
Yeah, and in fact, this look-ahead number on this Notre Dame-Purdue game was around 16. I thought it was going to get up to 17. And I mentioned to Tim Murray, so I think I was talking to Tim last week, and I said, I think Purdue's got a real shot to win this game straight up.
Ooh.
And that was before Northern Illinois went to South Bend and upset Notre Dame. Notre Dame defense is legit. I don't like much at all about the offense. It's a very inexperienced offensive line that went into the Texas A&M game with 8 combined starts. The running backs are pretty good, but Riley Leonard cannot throw the ball. You're not going to have many explosive plays out of this Notre Dame offense. I watched Purdue in his first game against Indiana State, and admittedly, the Sycamores are bad. This Purdue team's got a lot more talent than people think, and Hudson Card's a good quarterback. He had 24 for 25 in the first game, and I think this one's going to go down to the wire. I like Purdue plus 11, and I think this Notre Dame team's way overrated.
You taking a little on Purdue money line as well?
I will take a little on the money line. I wish we were still getting 16 or 17 points, but I have to go with 11. That's the best we can do.
By the way, I meant tipped your hand, not cap. Got my cliches mixed up there. One more game here. You also want to back the Gators, home dog here against Texas A&M?
Sunbelt Billy.
Yeah, this is Sunbelt Billy. Not my least favorite coach to back, but hey, we got a quarterback switch here. Graham Mertz still out with a concussion, and DJ Lagway, who's the number 1 quarterback recruit in the country last year, he's going to get to start, and I think this team's excited to play for him based on all the quotes I read coming out of Gators camp. He passed for 456 yards last week. As a 45-7 win over the Sanford Bulldogs, this doesn't mean a whole lot, but it does mean something because they bounced back and feeling better about themselves and the freshman quarterback. And again, A&M, Connor Wigman laying points on the road. Not much faith in the Aggies in this spot. It is a big coaching edge for an A&M, but I don't think that justifies this number here. I like the Gators plus 4.5 in the Swamp.
All right, great rundown. We can squeeze this in here in 30 seconds. You like a baseball game today. It's Yankees-Royals. What do you got?
I got Seth Lugo plus 130, and I'm going to tell you quickly, Lugo in his last 2 starts, 14 innings, 2 earned runs. Those were against the Guardians and the Astros. Marcus Stroman's got a 142 whip for the season. At home, 76 innings, he's allowed 15 home runs. In his last 3 starts, 15 2/3 innings, 23 hits, 10 earned runs. Big pitching edge here for the Royals. I like the dog in that one.
That's awesome. Thanks, Matt. We'll see you tonight.
Matt, thanks.
There you go. Matt Youmans, VSiN host. Show follows us, VSiN Primetime, on the Progressive Guest Line. We have a bunch of bets to get to as well with In Pocket Plays coming up next on Follow the Money.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I'll bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're up.
All right, the Sunday night, Monday night parlay cashes. No defensive special teams touchdown. Let's keep it going. 4-0 on the season. We'll be back on the Thursday night game. A good one with the Bills and the Dolphins. That's the graded. And with the pending, the look-ahead line, we'll get to that in a second. Oregon, under 10.5 wins adjusted, minus 140. Are they going to beat the Buckeyes at home? Clean it up and get organized quick, Dan Lanning. 3-point game is a 49-point favorite at home to Idaho. and he needed a kickoff and a punt return as a 21-point favorite to beat Boise at home. Some tough games coming up. Not to mention, and you got your Civil War, and then you got the Buckeyes on deck. I mean, if they lose at home to Ohio State, then they got to run the table to win that bet. Oregon under 10.5. Diamondbacks to miss the playoffs plus 475. Sit back, here's the news. They have a 1-game lead over the Mets, who are on fire. They have a 2-game lead over the Braves, who have a doable schedule. You mentioned how big this game is tonight. Can you trust Gallen at home? They're going against Eovaldi. So they have Texas, Milwaukee for 7, the Giants, and the Padres. I got to take that, plus 475. I have to. And you are correct. Obviously, someone can't, all 4 can't go.
Nope.
So someone's going to blow it here, and I think you're right. Whether it's going to be the Padres or the Diamondbacks, I think it's the Diamondbacks. But, I know the Braves are leaking oil right now, too. But you can't always do this, but I'm going to play the schedule game, and Arizona's got some tough games coming up. I'm going to take the plus 475.
All right.
And Seattle, I disagree with Matt, although Matt has a different number. This was the look-ahead line from last week. I was hoping this was going to go to like 6, that New England was going to get buried at Cincinnati, but Seattle looked good defensively. The 2 safeties and Geno getting picked back up in his own end zone. Brissett threw for 120 yards. So, and I know a friend of ours talked to someone close to the organization. He thinks the Patriots are going to lose their next 5-6 games. So I have no problems laying 3 with the Seahawks on Sunday on the road against the Patriots.
All right, the team I landed on, by the way, to miss is San Diego at 8-1. Partial hedge on my part as well. I have them at 20-1 to win the National League, but I hate the way that this is lining up for them. They could win the next. They could lose the next 2 games.
It's a big game tonight too, because Seattle, who's throwing Kirby, they have a great home. They are 41-28 at home, and they are only 3 back also of the Reeling Twins.
They get Webb on Friday. Cease has been terrible. He goes for them on Saturday.
Okay.
After that, it's a 3-game set. They get Arrighetti, they get Brown, and they get Valdez against the Astros. They might get swept by that team.
Ooh.
Before Cease pitches again next Friday, and they get Flex, and I'll give them that win. But
yeah.
This is not going to be an easy stretch here for the Padres at all coming up. Split the bets last night. Won a little bit with the juice here with the in-pocket plays. Brock Purdy, INT. Yes, no. Did not come in. Boy, he had time to throw, and his receivers were open every single time he looked down the field.
Purdy was also great.
That was
great job. I mean, again, that defense shut down Mahomes, Stroud, and Hurts last year. Made Hurts look ridiculous.
It was a disaster last night.
Yep.
All those guys running wide open for him.
Yep.
Reese Hall anytime touchdown did get there. That was plus 125. Here's what I'm adding tonight. Again, Chris Bassett taking on the Mets. Mets have been red hot. Here's, again, a little bit of the fly in the ointment. They have been bad on the road against righties. That's the situation tonight. However, Chris Bassett has allowed 3+ earned runs in 9 of his last 11 starts. I'm going to go over 2.5 earned runs tonight at plus 106. And I'm with Matty Ice. I bet the Packers yesterday at plus 3.5 against the Colts. I understand with Malik Willis. I really do. The guy is terrible. I don't know how he's even in the NFL, but I can say that about 20 guys at this point. So somebody's got to play. The Colts are not great defensively. Houston got what they wanted, and they allowed $160 to Joe Mixon on the ground. Josh Jacobs can't go for 130 in this game. Keep it close. I do think the Colts are going to score a little bit here on them. Total's way down to 41, by the way.
Yes.
Both teams have bad defenses, but more than a hook when it was still available. I had to grab that with Green Bay.
All right. Get up to the website. Check it out every day. Bookmark at vsin.com. Bill 80 with the morning email. Steve Mackinnon, great Week 3 college football stability rankings. All the line moves. And getting ready for Thursday night with the Bills and the Dolphins. Best bets, betting splits, odds by state, betting tools, betting guides. Nigel Seeley, VSiN contributor, with all the soccer plays. The Premier League back this weekend. By the way, the Meat Man will be on every Thursday with us, Steve Wiss. Check it out, vsin.com.
All right, so plenty of reaction today to Survivor. It's only week 1, I get it, but more than 14,000 people were in this one at circa. I've seen pools across the country / continent that were higher than 20,000. I don't know. Who knows how big they get, right? So what can you do if you end up having a big number of people splitting at the end of the year? And we're going over, like, after week 8, you got to take a road team. You might have to take 2 teams from, like, week 7 on. Some people said, depending on how many people are left, like after week 13, you can go to 3 teams every single week, which is just, Absolute chaos in my mind. This is from Raja on X. He said, first of all, guys, great Survivor chat. My league prevents you from picking against the same team in consecutive weeks.
Oh.
So if you went Saints week 1, no Chargers week 2, or you can add the caveat that you can only pick against a certain team a set number of times, which has been a common response so far today. What do you think about that?
Good.
That eliminates any angle going into the season like last year, fading the Cardinals every single time, or this year with the Patriots, which you're out if you bet Cincinnati, obviously, in week 1.
Or an unexpected injury, a huge injury. All of a sudden, a good team or an average team becomes dog bleep because they lose a star quarterback or something like that.
All right, this is from Isaac, and he said, I can't help but chime in here on Circus Survivor. Since the implementation of the 18-week season in 2021, that means 17 games per team in the NFL, teams on average are eliminated at 28% every single week. Does that seem right to you? 28% of the pool goes bye-bye every single week. So he said, when you apply this to a 20-week season, like Circa, there will be approximately 17 entries remaining after the 20 weeks are completed. That includes Thanksgiving and Christmas as its own separate week. So at 14,266 entries, that's 839,000 plus per person. A lot of money. If the pool grows to, let's say, 25,000 people, 31 people would remain. 806,000 per entry at the end. And if the pool goes to 50,000 entries, if 28% of the entries are eliminated every single week, that means about 71 people would be remaining. And they would each take home about $704,000. If that 28% guideline stays true, and he said, just going back and looking every week since 2021, that's been pretty much the case on average.
That seems high. We're in last man standing. That's usually 40%. That's ATS, though.
That's ATS.
That half the field gets knocked out.
Right.
Almost weekly. Okay.
Well, I'll save that email, and if we're around 17 people that are left at the end of the season, then he's going to be onto something here, or, in that ballpark, whatever.
Yeah. Well, there was chaos early on. We lost half the field by week 3 last year, but then it settled down, and it looked like it was going to be a significant chop, and then Thanksgiving happened, and all hell broke loose the next couple of weeks.
Imagine if the Bills and Seahawks lose those games on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, first of all, I'd be down to hardly any, because I was on Seattle big with most of my entries. Did have one on Tampa.
Oh, good. Good pick.
Lost one on the Giants. Tried to get nuts there. That was a horrible pick. And now this week, trying to avoid being on Baltimore like the rest of the world's going to be. See what we can do there. I don't think I really want to burn Houston at this point because Houston plays that game on Christmas. Chargers on the road, 6.5.
Well, yeah, but Houston's at home against Baltimore. But that's why it's so...
On Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, week 17, and you're really getting deep there. You only got 3 picks left at that point.
I know.
But...
Well, you have to have
who
teams
knows
remaining.
what's going to... I know. But it's also who knows. Are you comfortable with KC at Pittsburgh? Baltimore, Houston, tough game. Seattle, Chicago, tough game.
No, I'm not. I'm kind of uneasy on all of them.
I know that's difficult. I know,
right?
but it could open up. It could be wide open for you. Much like who the hell thought you were using the Miami Dolphins on the road on Black Friday? I loved the pick. It was easy, ice cream, because I'm going against Boyle. But
well, certainly,
you never know.
Before week 1 last year, you never would have had that game circled.
Never.
You thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be there, high expectations. No way would I use Miami.
Never.
And then you get the big break by Tim Boyle. Again, every single year, by the time we get midway through the season, week 8, 9, whatever it is, you're looking at a list of starting quarterbacks who are actually playing that given Sunday.
Yeah.
It's like, who the hell are these guys?
I also had a plan that way, too, because obviously, the Rodgers thing happened early, right away, and I saved Miami. I was taking a peek in that.
Yeah, because
I used Miami in both at that point. Because I know Dallas won by 100 in that game, but the people who saved Detroit got, taken out.
Sure. All right, up next, all the signs were there, and now fans are pissed because they feel as if they were lied to. We'll tell you what that is coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.